It's interesting that we're talking about a club and its impact on residential, because we're going to turn our attention to the West Loop now, where Soho House, another club, had a big impact on the luxury residential market there. And I met George Schultz in the neighborhood to talk about the unprecedented growth in the West Loop. George Schultz, we are at Properties Fulton Market office here in the West Loop. We are across the street from Google headquarters. Right up the street 20 years ago, App Properties opened its first real estate office. You've been in the neighborhood for a long time, ever since the red light, Vivo, Marché days. What's happened here?
Well, I mean, the West Loop has really come to life. I mean, there's nothing like this place anywhere else in the country. I mean, you take a meat packing district, you take a warehouse district, and you've created this great place where there's jobs and the creation of millions of square feet of office space. It's really a place that you can come and walk outside your door and go to a world-class restaurant, walk to work, go to a park, take your kids to school. I mean, it offers everything. It really is a unique proposition that is like nowhere else.
We are here at Avec. It's a new project that we're representing. It's under construction right next door. And why is this so desirable right now?
Well, I mean, it's a big departure from what traditionally, especially in this neighborhood, that you saw for larger homes, townhomes that had vertical living. What you have here at Avec and in the West Loop that seems to be the hot product are those 3-4 bedrooms on one level. This allows for a flexible lifestyle where you can work from home. You can be a single person and have great entertainment space. You also get a lot more outdoor space. You can have a family and you can see your kids run around. You don't have to have the multi-floor tiered level where you're carrying things up and down. So it's really a lifestyle that is attractive for multiple different people.
What does luxury mean in the West Loop?
Well, I think it all comes down to the authenticity of the product and really, going back to the roots of the West Loop, where it's warehouse, meat packing, the coolness factor is what the West Loop offers that other neighborhoods can't. And it's being true to that past history, both architecturally, but also giving a modern lifestyle with a large living space that gives a great flexibility, and that's what it's about. Luxury is cool.
We're almost immune to it now because there's 2 or 3 news items every day about development in the West Loop. But have you guys seen anything like this in your 25 years selling real estate in Chicago?
We've seen neighborhoods change, but we've never seen a neighborhood kind of explode and take on a life of its own like this one.
Cool part about it is what came first. There were some condo buildings that were done back in the 90s and the early 2000s, but what really came first was a lot of the restaurants. And that brought in the hype. The Soho House opened. That brought in the cool factor. Then you started having some of the shared office start taking peaks in that area, and it's grown and grown and grown. And as far as the future goes, I think that it's going to continue moving. I think you'll have greater migration from the Loop into the West Loop, into Fulton Market. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to live. It has a fabulous elementary school, awesome transportation, great food, and actually a couple of decent parks. So I don't think that there's much holding it back at all. And the cost of land with the affordable requirements, when it comes to future residential, I don't see it becoming inexpensive. You're not going to be able to build an entry-level new construction product there anytime in the future.
Let's talk a little bit about the luxury market over there. It's not surprisingly, it's exploded also. So in 2017, there were 22 sales over $1 million. Year to date, there have been 76 sales over $1 million. A few years back, we couldn't find a single transaction above $500 a square foot. Now we're seeing $700 pretty regularly. We've seen a few sales at $800. There's been one sale over $1,000 a square foot. Mike, where do you think things are heading in that neighborhood?
I think the West Loop is going to be one of the most sought after neighborhoods in Chicago over the next 10 to 20 years. So I think that we'll start to see comparable pricing to the Gold Coast, to some of the other hot neighborhoods in the city. And it kind of stands to reason because cost of construction is largely what's driving pricing these days. And there's no difference in the cost of construction in the West Loop versus Lincoln Park versus the Gold Coast. So if you're going to see these buildings built, the developers are going to have to sell them at a certain point, or they're not going to build them at all. So I think the West Loop, because of the infrastructure, because of the restaurants, just because of the vibe of the neighborhood, can start to see and push pricing as high as we've seen in other neighborhoods. I don't know that you'll match some of the top tier 1,200 plus a foot pricing yet, but it's going to be a pretty spectacular neighborhood over the next.
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it within a decade for sure.